Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy, the Mana Shark here, and today I'm going to be showing you a really cool deck that I've been playing around with recently. Disclaimer: I found this on Twitter, and yeah, I've just been like playing around with it a little bit. But here's like the very original list that I'm going to continue to test with to figure out what exactly the deck builder had in mind, and just like how can we make this deck even better. So deck's really cool. It's a green blue flash deck, and a lot of the cards are in instant speed or have instant speed abilities and stuff that you can do to basically just always be keeping your opponent on their toes, especially because when you're playing a rogue deck, oftentimes they don't really know what you're doing. So a big card to talk about is Hadana's Climb. Now, Hadana's Climb has been featured in some decks, and it's such a strong card, especially because either you can keep using it to pump your smaller guys into much stronger guys, or you can flip it, and all of a sudden your creatures that are normally kind of big all of a sudden are these huge lethal threats, which is amazing in the control matchup. Can randomly help you race, and is a huge, just big part of this deck. And so the deck being green blue, it's got Hydroid Krasis. The biggest play this deck has is usually just around Hydroid Krasis and getting a ton of value off of him. And maybe Hadana's Climbing, doubling its power, and all of a sudden you're hitting for 16, and it gives it it has trample already, so it could crunch right through even their Krasis. And yeah, so it rocks 4 Llanowar Elves. Early game, mana production. Late game, Hadana's Climb can make it a little bit bigger and more of a significant attacker, or you can pitch it away to other things. Growth Chamber Guardian, I love this card. And a lot of times I actually find myself in mirrors where they're playing Growth Chamber Guardians too. But a lot of times just being a really strong beater, and the fact that you can adapt at instant speed means that you can hold up mana for counter spells and stuff, and if nothing happens, you have an ability you can sink your mana into and be efficient. And same goes with Incubation Druid, right? A mana dork that also you can sink your mana into late game and become a beater. What's really cool about both of these is that in control matchups, they're perfectly solid threats on their own, which is great. And with Hadana's Climb, when you put a counter on either of them, Growth Chamber Guardian will help you find more Growth Chamber Guardians. And Incubation Druid, it's not going to be as big, but on turn 3, you play turn 2 Incubation Druid. On turn 3, Hadana's Climb makes it tap for 3 mana. And heck, if you have an even faster game, you could get that online even faster. So it's a really great way to just ramp really fast into really big Krasis or something. We have 2 Blink of an Eye. This is in their list, and I've been so-so on it. It has a lot of moments where it's really good. However, I think this is maybe a card that's more on the meta call side of things. I don't think the deck necessarily has that much of a tempo play to it. It is really nice to sometimes bounce something and counter it, or against the mono blue matchup to bounce something that has a Curious Obsession on it. We have 4 Quench. I actually find Quench to be the card that comes out the most after game 1, but that being said, a 2 mana counter spells is solid. In the faster matchups, you usually keep it in. In the slower matchups, you board out for other 2 mana counter spells that pretty much every blue deck has in their sideboard. So you have Krasis, Hadana's Climb, and then 4 Frilled Mystic. This card, just an amazing value creature. The fact that it's 4 mana and the same cost as something like Chemist's Insight means that you can really keep your opponent on your toes with it. And yeah, it's a 2-for-1, so that's really great. Chemist's Insight, draw a lot of cards. If this deck does what it's supposed to do, if it doesn't get ran over in the early game, Chemist's Insight is really big in terms of just giving you plenty of gas to work with, and stuff to pitch to discard, and it's just a great card. Reclamation, the Boogeyman of Standard. We're going to play 2 of them. We're not playing any Nexus or anything. It's largely there just to give us more plays where, we can tap out on our turn for a Crisis and untap and still have mana open for counter spells or adapting or whatever. 2 Vivian Reeds. This card is so good in so many ways. Killing a lot of creatures with flying is very relevant. Sometimes killing like a Search for Escanta or something, and being able to search, just constantly generate value of creatures that you're getting, and your creatures are pretty sick. So like, Vivian Reed is just all around an amazing card in Standard, and in this deck especially, being able to find, Crisis or Mystic is fantastic. And then lands nothing special, 2 islands, 2 Memorial to Genius, which is really cool because this deck actually often has so much mana to spend, where you could hold up mana for a counter spell and end of turn just crack it to draw 2 cards. Pretty sick. 8 Forests, 4 Breeding Pool, 4 Hinterland Harbor, and 4 Simic Guildgate. And as for our sideboard, we have Disdainful Stroke, we have Negates. So yeah, these are often like coming in for Quench or Blink of an Eye or something in certain matchups. Search for Escanta. The original list I saw had 2 Entrancing Melodies. I want to try out Search for Escanta in this deck in the control matchups, just to add a little bit more of a value game to it. Krull Harpooner, which is great against a lot of decks with flyers. Mono Blues is certainly a tough matchup to have 3 Krull Harpooner, 3 archers for the mono blue matchup, and Harpooner is also good against Bolas in the Grixis matchup. It's just been a great card for me. Crushing Canopy, I haven't been terribly impressed with this card, but it's gotten the job done a couple times. I'm still not sure if I should bring it against mono blue. And Trancing Melody in the Crisis, it's like glitchy, in the Crisis matchups. Stealing a Crisis for 4 mana is like the play, and sometimes I even board in against decks that I'm expecting to board in their own Entrancing Melodies, or I'll keep a Blink and Eye in because like they're gonna steal my Crisis, so I want to either get it back or bounce it and it just goes back to my hand, which is great. So yeah, deck's really cool. Let's play some games. So we're gonna play a best 2 out of 3 match to get a feel for this deck, and yeah, then we'll go back to the deck list and kind of talk about what we learned specifically from that game and from similar games I've played like it. So this opening hand sucks. 1 land, 2 climbs, which is terrible. Like, yeah, we're gonna have to. That's an auto mull. This hand sucks. Auto mull. And I hate Arena. Let's just save us some time here. But let's keep this, and let's see what our opponent's playing. Mono blue, probably. Okay. Once we see a single mono blue card, we'll just board all of it out and board in our mono blue stuff. Or no, we could keep playing. We could keep going, actually. Ooh, opt. All right. And like the thing is, we can just play these 2 lands, and our opponent will still have no idea what we're on. Okay, so they're playing. All right, so we're in this still. We're in this. If they're playing mono blue, we would definitely be out of it because game 1 is already like a wash. But if they're playing a blue red build, maybe we're not quite out of it just yet. It does suck that Druid went to the bin though, because we really want mana. So all right, Teamer, probably Nexus. So yeah, we're gonna play tap land, pass turn. I actually really like our opponent's deck. Teamer Nexus is super cool. And a reason why I actually wanted to build this deck was because I really liked the idea of going into this deck afterwards. I just didn't quite have the cards for it, and this is a mid ground because I had to get like craft like the Hinterland Harbors and some other stuff, Vivian Reeds for like other decks. So I just thought like this was like a a cool deck and also strong deck, and a deck that like is a midpoint between where I was and having the cards to build Teamer Nexus or Teamer Control with like Niv Mizzet. Niv Mizzet's probably really scary for this deck though. I can imagine, because we can't counter it. We don't really have, removal. Maybe that's an argument to play Incubation. Incongruity. Okay. Do you got a Nexus? Do I cry? Expansion Explosion. Sure. Sounds good. Alrighty. Wow, garbage plays. For a garbage boy. Syncopate. Yep. Let's just save some time here. Okay, so. Oops. Alright, let's bring in this control-y matchup. Okay, so Crushing Canopies seem good. Killing enchantments, Disdainful Stroke, and Negate. Maybe as Kanta for some grind. Stuff to take out. Probably Quench. Quench is just gets a lot worse once the matchup slows down. Blink of an Eye does bounce to Fairy. But yeah, I think that comes out. We could trim a Climb for sure. And we can trim... Oh, Blink of Eye actually would bounce our own Krasis once they steal it, which is definitely another thing. But I feel like once we drop a Krasis in this matchup, like, we're in decent shape. Maybe, yeah, shave a Vivian Reed. And yeah, our deck's looking decent. Let's see how it goes. We did have the opportunity to counter Chemist's Insight, which we just didn't take, but playing Platinum, trying to get to Diamond today. Haven't had so much time to play Magic, but when I do, I really take the opportunity to just jam as many games as I can and have fun while doing it. I can play red deck wins all day and grind to Mythic, no problem. That's not even a humble brag. That's just literally what everyone does, and it takes no skill. Let's be real here. It's just running your things out there and just seeing what happens. And I find that to be insanely boring, not skill intensive at all, and just something I'm not interested in doing. So I'd rather have fun. Okay, so we can hold up Frilled Mystic. Or we can drop another Incubation Druid, which in future turns means we can hold up Mystic and or adapt. So I think I like just growing our mana out here. It would suck if he drops a Reclamation. We do get to hold up Disdainful Stroke though, so it's a pretty decent turn, I think. It would be nice to hit our land drops. It's very important for us to do that. And yeah, we'll do our best to just... I think Reclamation is definitely a card to counter because the amount of mana that this deck specifically generates off it is insane. Like we do like more fair things with Nexus, if that's even a thing. They do some pretty gross things. So I'm down to just hold up mana here. And we have the play of... This is why I really like Incubation and Druid in this deck. We have the play to either counter or adapt. Chemist's Insight here. Do we like it? I think we do like it. Resolving, because we don't... I think there are better things to counter. and like we're not necessarily in the role of control as much. We actually kind of prefer to not have to counter anything and adapt so we have more mana for a crisis or something. Okay, once we get the clear. Sweet. Okay. So we have the potential for 8 mana. I don't think we want to spend all of it. It honestly might just be another turn of incubation, playing an incubation druid, and either adapting or countering. Which kind of like, because we want a lot of mana into our crisis and enough mana to actually drop a big crisis and hold up counters. So yeah, we'll just pass. We're not really missing much of an attack there. Okay. You done, kid? All right, you done, kid. We'll adapt here. And now we have a crap ton of mana, like so much mana. We even have a climb, which can get deadly pretty fast. So I'm excited. Yeah, so let's just drop a fat crisis, right? Is that okay? Blue, get green. Now we're at 8. Now we're at 9. We didn't play a land this turn either, so we can drop a crisis for 8 and just count on drawing a land. Like, I think that's a very fair expectation to hit an untapped land. Okay, he counters it, but like we got all this value. It would be nice to have some pressure on the board, and that's why it's in his best interest to kill it. But you know, all right, sweet. We hit our untapped land. We want to be able to hold up a counter spell, because once our opponent does go for like something stupid, it's good for us to just hold up mana. We can even go for, all right, what's the better thing to use? Probably the Disdainful Stroke. If he has a negate for it, that sucks, but like we had to do what we did. So okay, now he has a lot of mana. He hasn't been hitting his land drops as much, so we could still take advantage a little bit. I think I'm down to actually just climb this turn, and just like pretty much counter whatever would happen. Because yeah, climb is gonna make Incubation Druid kind of beefy, and we can get in if we want for more, or we can activate basically another Incubation Druid. All right, is this something worth saving? I'm inclined to think yes, actually. Like I think it is such a powerful effect. Okay. Okay. Blue. And then we have 4 mana held up for it, so Hadana Climb goes on. We can either activate Incubation Druid number 3, like just throw on this one and it taps for more mana now, which I kind of like. Or we can get it flipped pretty much immediately. I think that this is the safer play, and next turn we can go for a nice smash. But like, yeah, we're in the territory where we drop a fake, a fat Krasis, and then flip Hadana's Climb, and all of a sudden, Krasis is lethal. Like, we're presenting lethal, and our opponent has nothing going on, and it doesn't even play into Niv Mizzet. Okay. All right, what's he dropping here? What's he playing? Resolve. Okay, he's got a lot of mana, so it could be Expansion Explosion. Which I think no matter what it is, we pretty much counter. Yeah. Okay. And we even have negate mana up. Sweet. Okay, our opponent's got nothing. All right. Now, what action do we want to take here? So we can Hadana's Climb an Incubation Short to flip it. And then we would have 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 mana. Which is pretty fat. I like... Okay. And then we send in 2 Frilled Mystics. Because he doesn't have enough mana to adapt right away. All right, we want to find answers with this, so definitely just tapping for 9 off these guys. So it's 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. That's sad. But, so we have negate open, and we can drop one more thing, I guess. So, Growth Chamber Guardian or search for Azcanta. Azcanta would not flip quite yet. I imagine we're actually on the shorter game. We could kind of force Syncopate and just have more mana up for things. We do have a lot of mana available at the moment, but I think this kind of I think this would secure our victory a little bit more. Yeah, because we can double its power next turn if things don't work out. We can definitely push in for lethal as long as he doesn't wipe the board. That's all. I don't know if this deck boards in Star of Extinction or something, but from game 1 where we just packed our stuff up because we had to mull too hard and our opponent's deck was gonna rickety wreck us, we're in a pretty solid spot right now. Okay, so that was a very comfortable game. It might have been because he wasn't hitting his land drops. Now that we're on the draw, does anything change? Maybe search for Azcanta that goes out, because honestly he's not killing our stuff. And what do we want to bring in? I think Blink of the Eye just has some utility to it, and that's a card to consider. We can up our Hadana's Climb because that card just applied a lot of pressure, which I liked, and makes our little dorks actually into something. or a Quench, just to like get him. I love the idea of a get him Quench, but I don't know how practical that is. I think we just throw it at anything, right? Like, let's try it. Let's try keeping one Quench in. It's really stupid, and it probably doesn't make any sense. You know, that's the funny thing about Magic is like a lot of decisions that we make sometimes don't actually make sense. But this hand, I think this hand's pretty hot. We got 2 lands and a Druid, and if we hit a 3rd land, gas. If our Druid dies, like, okay, we have a little more work to do. Oh, sweet. Slap that Guildgate down. Our opponent still probably doesn't quite know what we're doing-ish. Like, I don't know. I don't know how mainstream... I think most decks on that I run into on Arena are very, very, like, whatever you'd see. I'm opening gum, that's why it's all, like, crinkling. Like, whatever you'd see on, like, a top 8 of an SCG, like, that's what you see here. Like, nothing, not a ton of variance, in my experience. So I don't know if they really have, if they're mentally prepared for, you know, matchups that are a little bit off the beaten path, which is a great reason to play a deck like this, is that you're not playing some stupid stock list, you know, Drake deck that everyone has played against 16 times. You're playing a deck that they maybe have heard of or played once, that just has a very different angle of attack. So we're just gonna do we run out our Reclamation here? I'm inclined to say no. I think we can get him with a counter spell, and if not, we'll end of turn Insight. And if he wants to counter that, then we open up for Reclamation. We're like Nexus-less Nexus right now, which is really funny. Okay, you want to copy it, you'll hit your land drops too. Makes sense. Okay, solid. Solid. What's the most important thing that we have that can resolve on our turn? It could be... Yeah, okay, 6 land, that changes the question a lot. I think we go Wilderness Reclamation plus Growth Chamber Guardian. And he could have a Spell Pierce, so we want to play this first. Guardian. And then on his turn, now we have all this mana left up. And this is the fair Reclamation, right? Where it's like honestly questionably worth a card sometimes when you play a fair Reclamation. But like, this is insane. We have all these counters. Worst case scenario, we just adapt for Growth Chamber Guardian. We have Chemist's Insight going. Like, our opponent can't do anything. We got him right where we want him. It has to be instant speed if they want to do something, so. Alright. I think we could just adapt again. What can they have? Nothing, right? They could just kill it again. And I'm fine with that. Sweet. And yeah, we just keep grabbing Growth Chamber Guardians and no problem. Now we have a beater. We have a solid clock on our opponent. We get to smash him for 4. Okay, so we go Guardian, probably Guardian and Incubation Druid. Do we counter this? I'm kind of inclined to. Yeah, I think this actually like secures our clock to be way faster. And yeah, Incubation Druid, we basically used all of our mana that turn, and now we have 6 mana up that we can efficiently use with Chemister's Insight plus a counterspell. Or like Adapt plus counterspell, which wouldn't be 100% efficient, but hey, like that's amazing. What am I most interested in doing? Adapting this at 3 power of the board. I think we just adapt this. Just fetch another one. Hold up counterspell mana in case you want to try and kill it. And yeah. Sweet. So our opponent is on a 2-turn clock right now. Do we adapt? I might be a little, greedy, but to adapt Incubation Druid like that. Yeah, you can have that. You can have that resolve. And okay, we can fully adapt this for like a Gerbillion mana. Do we even have a way to like truly use all that mana with what we got going on? Not yet, but with a Crisis or something, we will. So, and we can maybe even outpay like a Syncopate with it down the road. So I'm down. Reclamation will meet a Disdainful Stroke, and I think our opponent loses. Negate their negate. And yeah, that's how you blow the first match and destroy the second match. So let's take a look at our deck and see what, what lessons we learned that match. I guess the biggest thing is that Hadana's Climb adds a lot of pressure to the board, even when you don't even flip it. And just, yeah, having the mana up to adapt and to be flexible, to hold up counter spells, especially in matchups where they're really trying to just land crucial cards like their own Wilderness Reclamations, makes cards like Wilderness Reclamation and plays where like you can always have mana up. I think that's what makes this deck really gross, and just being outside of the main meta. So I hope you enjoyed. I recommend trying out this deck. I've been having a lot of fun and success with it. And I'm looking to actually take this in best 2 out of 3 pretty far down the Mythic road. So yeah, drop a like if you enjoy this video, and I'll catch you around.